We are live with episode 2 of Business Ventures Podcast with Raymond Little. Thanks for joining me today, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I'm really excited about this one. Not only are you one of the best entrepreneurs that I know, you've reached unparalleled success, but I'll take a little tidbit out of this bio here. Your story is one of second chances, extreme discipline, and the power of leading by example. I love that line because that kind of sums up everything for me that is Raymond Little. You know,
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if you've caught any of my podcasts that I used to do. So I had a lot of podcasts to where like there's a commercial roofing radio. That was my old podcast and enjoyed it a lot, but I was kind of pegged in this hole where we could only talk about commercial roofing because I wanted my audience to get that knowledge of commercial roofing. Since then, I've passed that off to Cam Wade. So he's running that podcast now, and I created this one. Now we can do a deep dive into everything about your entrepreneurial journey. That's what I get really excited about. So I know a lot about Raymond Little. I feel like I know more than most people about Raymond Little, but I don't even know like one thing we did with on the last episode is we took a deep dive into growing up, right? Well, so Raymond, where are you from? Do you think that there's anything growing up as young little Raymond, which I couldn't imagine how wild and crazy young Raymond was? But is there anything in that those early years that you think helped create that work ethic, that grit, that entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, growing up in single parent household, going back and forth, every other weekend with my dad. Only sibling in the house. Um, my sister went with my dad, and she was a little older, and I went with my mom during the divorce. Probably divorced 5, 6 years old. Grew up, went to 9 different schools in 12 years. Dyslexic, learning disabilities, couldn't read, didn't understand what was going on. Mom worked 2 jobs, moved a lot. Rent was, do here, do here. So I knew I was going to move. Didn't ever, any kids in school, know any kids in, in the neighborhoods because we moved so much. Spent a lot of time by myself, which I think that helped me a lot. A lot of people think it's traumatic, and I think it's like a superpower. So I spent a lot of time by myself, just kind of, no phones, obviously, back then. I'm 47, so no scrolling, no
Yeah.
YouTube, no nothing. So just a lot of time in my own head, really, and becoming, a strong, a stronger person. Didn't do well in school, found some outlets, and, I raced BMX bikes at a really high level from about 13 to 16. Then went to racing go-karts at a pretty high level. Won some races. Went to race legend cars. I don't know if anybody knows what legend cars are. If not, Google them.
Yeah.
Raced at that at a high level. Won some semi-pro races. Quite a few of those. Then started getting in trouble.
Well, there's a lot I want to unpack just there. First of all, I have no idea what legend cars are. I'm definitely going to Google that.
Yeah, Google. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
That's
that's
real
pretty
cool. I
cool.
didn't know you had a racing background. I just figured older Raymond in your 40s looking for an outlet, decided to start mountain biking and BMXing and stuff like that. I didn't know you did that
Yeah,
when you
no,
were
I think
younger.
I'm wired. Yeah, I'm wired to compete. Yeah, wired to compete. Win. I want to win. 24 hours a day. So
So you bounced around a lot, right? It
yeah, a lot of bouncing around.
was that all in the same area, all in Georgia, all in the South, or is that just all over the
All in
country?
Georgia. Yeah, Metro Atlanta area, downtown Atlanta, inside the perimeter, outside the perimeter, here, there, Gwinnett County, Fulton County.
There you go.
Yeah, my mom. I talk to my mom every day. My mom's a great person. Bought her a Lexus a couple years ago. If she calls me right now and needs 100 grand, I'm gonna send it.
There you go.
Um, you know, yeah, she did what she had to do. Her and my dad didn't get along that good, or early on. They're great now. That we spend all holidays together and everything as a blended family. But yeah, had to work 2 jobs, and you know, that same story.
Yeah.
But in the 1980s, all that divorce, and early
Yeah.
90s,
Yeah.
all that divorce and stuff. I mean, it is what it is, right? Some people, I thrive from it,
Yeah. Some people make
but
excuses on things that are
yeah,
challenging. And
yeah,
people like yourself that truly grow and need success, you take those and it makes you a better person. It's funny. I traveled a lot growing up. So I went to a lot of different schools and stuff. That's just storm. industry, going around. But
Yeah.
we'd be in schools for like 3 months at a time. I'd be in one school for 3 months and then move on to the next school and be there for 3 months and then the next school. So I can relate to that. And I've always said there was a lot of, principles are universal. Business principles are universal. Principles about people, how people interact, how you talk to people, how you get people to like you, how you get to know people. And for me, it was going to those new schools. And as I was younger, it was just watching and listening and then kind of seeing how easy it is to get people to like you and get along with people. And, obviously there's other challenges like you're getting a lot of fights, beating a lot of people up, stuff like that. But just in general, you gain a lot of knowledge rather than growing up around that same group of people.
Yeah, you're selling yourself on the cool kids, right? Selling yourself to the new pack of kids, selling yourself. It sells.
Yep.
You move around a lot. Never sat at the cool kids table, but I did find friends, and
Yeah. Yeah. Or you made the rule.
but every time, it's communications, it's networking, even at a small level, elementary school, middle school. You learn to adapt and like I said, and communicate. At a high level, and like I said, it's basically sales and communication.
Yeah. So BMXing, right? So you're BMX racing. What does that look like? Is that because I think BMX, I think of like the trick bike stuff that we grew up
No,
going home.
you start on a gate. And there's like 8 to 12 riders. I'm getting a little older now. I'm starting to forget, but it's about I think 12 riders can start in one gate. And you're they're like riders ready, da, 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 and the gate falls, and 12 of you
On a bow,
sprint.
right?
Yeah, pretty much. Going in the turns, jumping the jumps, and everything. But it's an explosive sprint for probably about 45 seconds on the track and then the finish line. And then, like, the top four riders advance. And then, they have all these heats and you're down to the last 12. So you might race 2 days, semifinals, breaking it all down in a bracket to the last 12. And I traveled the country doing that at a pretty high level, an expert level, from about 13 to 17. And then, kind of probably should have stayed in it,
Yeah.
didn't. Then went, the race in the go karts, oval racing, go karts on dirt.
How was
Where you
that?
kind of always slide.
How was that?
Yeah, it's fun. Always sliding sideways. If you let off it's full throttle. Everybody's in the gas the whole time. There's no letting off the gas, and you kind of all stay in a circle, and the only way you can really pass is by pushing,
Yeah, push it out of the way. Yeah.
your nose to tap. Yeah, kind of pushing people into turns and stuff like that. It's aggressive, it's fun, and you got it's kind of chess, because you're all drafting each other in a line like NASCAR. It's like a baby NASCAR race on Saturday nights at some dirt track in Fort Bodum, Georgia.
Well, I love that shit though. My grandpa
Yeah, I do too, bud.
used to race dirt tracks and shit growing up. And so I
Yeah,
remember,
I love it, man. It's good. It's good for the soul. I think men are wired to compete.
yeah.
I think they're wired to protect and provide. I'm real in tune with my cavemanness.
Yeah.
I think you're wired to, what I mean, protect and provide your family. Not much of a nurturer. I'm a great dad, but like I said, I've been waiting for him to get 13 for a long time, start getting that young manhood. But yeah, I'm wired to compete every day. I want to win. I don't really care about the money. I like to win, be the best. Build stuff.
Are you do you plan on getting your
So
son into the racing stuff as well or no?
he's more into he likes soccer and jujitsu. He's
There you go.
he don't I buy him a new mountain bike every time he grows out of the other one. I try to get him to go ride with me. I always keep a new one there. A waste of 8 to 10 grand all the time. Then I'll grow out of it and I'll buy another one, hoping he goes. I don't know why he's woke up so since he's 3 years old. He's been waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to head these races with me. So I think that turned him against it. But he plays soccer for the school. He's the team captain and the goalie. And then he's been in jiu-jitsu. He's 13, so he's been in jiu-jitsu about 7.5 years, and he's been boxing 5.
There you go.
So
That's awesome.
he enjoys that. I try to do an individual sport and a team sport. Young men nowadays, we could spend 4 hours on what I think about young men nowadays, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I think the kids, young men
They're
need to be in
soft.
one
They
team
need to
sport
grow
and
up.
an individual
They're
sport.
soft. They need to grow
They need
up.
to
But
grow
we
up.
can sum it up real
Yeah.
quick. It's this
Yeah.
soft, gentle parenting I don't agree with, and
Yeah, I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that. Yep. None of that over here.
never will. Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I got my kids in team sports and solo sports as well. So it's a huge believer in it. I just think the racing thing's cool. I've
Yeah, I love racing, man. I love competing. I did a 50-mile race last weekend. 40-mile last weekend, 50-mile the weekend before, and 20 miles the weekend before. I do have this weekend off of racing. And then I'll race again on the 28th or 9th.
there you go. So, you've got the competitive spirit, you've got the drive, you met a lot of people, you spent a lot of time with yourself, so you really learned yourself. Some people say that's the key to everything is if you know yourself, you know everybody else. So you can grow as a person, you can grow a business, you can grow at anything if you truly know yourself. And we as men, uh, they say we're awful at maturing and knowing ourselves. So it takes till we're 40s or something like that. I don't know. I've heard stats out there about it. 98% of stats are fake anyway, but I think that was true because a lot of people that I know don't know themselves or not mature or things like that. That's why I don't think they're very successful until later in life. But because you had all that, it now makes sense why you've been so successful throughout your life. So when did it start translating to money and business for you? And I understand there's some stuff you probably can't talk about or you may have to go over, but so when did all of those
Yeah, I
things?
don't like to glamorize poor behavior, but probably, probably around 18 or, well, probably around 16, 17, I kind of left the house. Was living in hotels, still going to school. Um, you know, doing what young men do that get off track to make money.
Yep.
Dibbled and dabbled in that. Big boy, got in a fist fight, served some time, came home from that. Uh, that actually made me worse.
And we can talk about
About three
whatever
years out.
we can talk about whatever you're willing to talk about. So if you want to go,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
I
I'll
don't
talk
care.
about
Yeah.
pretty much whatever. Yeah, yeah. Bad altercation. Bad altercation. End up getting 10 years served, 5 for a fist fight. Um, Went down there. I come from my dad's in the Hall of Fame for racing flat track Harleys, so you can
Yeah,
imagine.
that's awesome.
So that's my dad, right? He can't read or write that good. He's a very successful businessman. Probably worth $5, $6, $7 million. But he was a flat track Harley racer that liked to drink at night, and my stepmom did too. I kind of veered from that behavior and kind of left the house. I had to provide for myself. I was living here and there. 1-bedroom apartments. There might be 2 or 3 of us renting it. Hotel, weekly stay hotels. I graduated, lived in a hotel from high school. Got in that fight, went down there, served, about 3 years in prison, came home from that. Went straight to downtown Atlanta, paroled out there to a place that my dad provided for me, and I had to pay him, the mortgage. Started that, bought a new Lexus, working for my dad, hustling the streets. Ended up getting a racketeering conviction. I got about 143 counts of RICO Act. In 2003. Yeah, I got arrested for a racketeering charge, bonded out on that. Skipped my court date. Skipped my court date. I was like, I had to get some things in tune. Another bad altercation, ended up being in a shootout and getting arrested for that. And then I just kind of went there and laid down on that, beat that charge because the guys didn't come to court, and got convicted for the racketeering. Served about 72 months for that. Came home, basically 6 years later. Yeah, got out. I was like, well, I've kind of learned it now. I feel like I had a master's degree in the streets, so I was like, hey, I just need to make like $500,000 real quick, and I'll be good, and I'll just go back to working because I had lost my houses and multiple cars. I got arrested for the racketeering. I had 2 properties, 3 luxury vehicles, and then a bunch of cash. But anyways, came home from that. I was like, well, maybe if I just stay sober and do it one more time, I can catch back up. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Stayed out about 2.5 years. Sorry, the pollen's bad down here in Florida.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's full in effect down here. But So yeah, so came home from that. Same thing, running the streets. Driving nice cars, making a lot of money. Thought I was gonna recover. Did have a plan. Did have somewhat of a plan. Didn't happen. Altercation. Me and my kid's mom, arguing. The neighbors call the police because they hear the yelling. Long story short, they found her firearm at her house, and I'm not allowed to be around them. So went to jail for that. Bonded out. Then I said, hey, enough's enough. She got pregnant. Knew I had a kid on the way. Checked myself in a rehab. Basically, said, hey, and I did a 180. So I put down the drug trafficking. Living by the gun. I've been shot multiple times. Shot in the back, shot in the arms. Both of them stabbed a bunch of times. I said, hey, this lifestyle's over with. I got a kid on the way. Went to rehab. Was in rehab about 7 months. Went to court for that gun charge. Got sentenced to 5 more years in prison, even though I was doing the right thing. Went down there, served the time for that. It was about 30 something months. Paroled out back to that same rehab, and with $43 in my pocket, paroled out, no clothes. I got a bunch of clothes donated to me from different people and sources. Went to work, was walking to work, riding a bicycle to work, making it happen. Going through the court system, getting visitation with my son, through a guardian ad litem, supervised visitation, paying child support, paying for the supervised visitation. Was working one day. One of my friends, Justin Simpson, a lot of people in the industry know him because he's been here a long time. He was on the first SVG training video. See me working. He was a friend of mine 20 years. Like, bro, come over here and roof. And
Well, before we
started off
get
as a
into
canvasser.
roofing, let's back up and
Yeah.
digest a little bit of that. You just threw a lot at us.
A
Ooh, let's sip a coffee on that one.
lot of poor behavior
Yeah.
in those years, buddy.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
but there's so many lessons to learn, and there's so much that you could have taken other ways. The fact that hey, you admit all of this, and the fact that you say that you were doing wrong, the competitive spirit, also the success. So there's a lot of things that I see in there that makes an entrepreneur a great person, and I think you're not the only person to go, yeah, from where you went to extreme success. I feel like there's a small number of people who make it out of what you made it out of, right? Very small number of people. But the people that do typically find success. So there's got to be a lot of lessons in that behavior. Now, I'm not advocating, hey, people go fuck up for 15 years and
Oh yeah,
go to
yeah.
prison and do wrong things. Because if you do make it out, you're going to find success doing something else. Saying,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
seems a path, a very, very hard, but it is a path where some people make it as long as you do it. So there's probably multiple times within doing all of that shit where you were like, "Yeah, I need to straighten up." But you said probably when when you had when your son was on the way, right? When she was pregnant, is that the moment? Like, I've got to get clean and straight.
That was the moment. I didn't want to felt. I done felt a lot in life. I made a lot of money. Back then. I mean, I made. It wasn't like on my worst day, I was still. I might be snorting meth, but I'm still in a 911 Porsche. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So, that's like one of my worst days, right? And I always stayed in nice homes or whatever. And when I was doing bad, even in my poor behavior, I was wasn't dipping out of a dumpster or nothing. I was in luxury vehicles and polluting my community and being just a scumbag, really, trafficking drugs. My worst day, but yeah, you got a kid on the way, and you're kind of like, I'm getting a little bit older, a little bit too old. I'm really, every time I was down there in prison, I would just put my headphones on and look around me. I'm like, dude, what am I doing in here? You know what I mean? Because I know I can. I was making, back in the early 2000s, making $5,000-$10,000 a week. In 2001, 2002, you get down, making $500,000 back then was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
A year, and now I always knew in the back of my head, there's got to be an end game for this, right? And I wanted to buy some property back then, pay my cars off, and just kind of get a regular job. Once I had that little nest egg, I think that's every street hustler's dream, right? And start a small business. I just could never land the plane, I kept getting busted.
Yeah.
But
Almost
yeah,
there.
when my
Almost.
son was on the way, I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to fail at being a father. I was down there in prison, and I didn't get much visits or nothing like that. I tell my family comes to me once a year. You know, some people's families come every weekend or whatever, and I would see the kids and stuff come in there, and I was like, dang, dude, you know,
That ain't
that'd be
gonna
a
be
tough one
me.
for me.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna be me. So you know, when he was on the way, you know, and me and her parted ways. You know, we knew we weren't gonna work out. Yeah, I was like, I ain't gonna fail at being a father. But you know, when I made that decision, I still was out on bond and had all those court cases over my head. So it was a 3 or 4 year process even after the decision of getting sober to handle with all your legal stuff. So it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna get sober and everything went away. No, I was getting sober and I was on bond for 100 different charges, to be honest with you. And I was having to beat them and pay my lawyers and pay to stay at the rehab. And I was working at a moving company and this and that and
Yeah.
riding a motorcycle to work in this winter.
And that's,
So and,
that's something where the system, I don't want to say it's broken, but maybe it is. It seems like it's like you made the decision that you were going to improve and be better, yet now you're still fighting the system. And it's like, they can't turn around and just trust you. You'd be like, oh, you made the decision, right?
no,
But at the same time,
yeah,
it makes it that much harder. And I think that's why a lot of people fail in getting straight, getting clean, doing all, because like they finally do. And it's like, hey, I'm doing well. You're still fucking with me. Still fucking with me. I'm doing well. Right.
yeah. It's our addict mentality. We say, oh, okay, well, I'm clean now, right? So what I tell people when you get clean, I mean, so clean's just a state, right? You're not using alcohol or drugs anymore or narcotics anymore. So immediately in our addict, entitled minds, we're like everything should just get better because I quit using and I should get a pat on the back and everybody should be so proud of me. But getting clean is just the little portion of it. All the character defects and living that lifestyle. You got to heal from that too, and you got to work on yourself because you'll still have that addict mentality, that drug trafficker, drug user mentality. I was 95% criminal and 5% addict. The day I quit selling drugs is basically the day I quit using them. I didn't ever go all week and work and go buy any drugs. No, I have 10 kilos in my closet and I'd pull a gram out and snort it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was my stint. I was more addicted to the lifestyle than the drugs, the quick lifestyle, the money, the Mercedes, the BMWs, the penthouse, the nights out at the clubs, and being a superstar in the streets where everybody knew you and you're kind of famous in that little, rim of, scumbags.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I mean,
So,
that's got to be a lot more addicting than the drug for most people. Or,
yeah, the lifestyle, the lifestyle you're pulling up. I mean, you're 26 years old and you're in a brand new 7 Series BMW. You live in a penthouse. They valet your car when you pull home. I mean, yeah, it's hard to get away from that. A lot of people either die. I mean, some of my friends, a lot of them are dead, or some of them are still serving time from back then.
yeah.
They've been gone 10, 15 years, 20 years.
So is before we go on to the next step, I mean, is there any piece of advice you can truly give to somebody in that same situation wanting to get out? I mean, was it like, if it wasn't the addiction for you that got you to do that, it was, what was it that got you clean? Was it going through the rehab, or the rehab didn't really have much to do with it? It was more just
The
making that
rehab didn't have really much to do with it. The rehab was just a little thing to hold me accountable. I went to 365 meetings straight. Well, I had that break where I had to do 3 and something years in prison, so that was like a long meeting. But yeah, those 7 months, I went to a meeting every night, AA or NA meeting, just to hold me accountable. And to be honest with you, where I was at in life, those people didn't know the type of life I lived. Not to glamorize poor behavior, but I did live a pretty good street life. Like I said, you're making all that big money and partying every day. It's like you're living like a rock star. Um, you know, just doing the right thing, dude. You can get to the. I mean, like I said, I ran a successful business, so successful they charged me a racketeering in the street, and you can do the same thing out here. Just use your hustle skills out here and build something where you're not hourly, that you're based off commission. You eat what you kill mentality, because that's how it is in drug trafficking. So if you have gotten a little bit off on that wrong track, find something in sales. It'll itch that itch that you have in you.
Yeah.
You'll get that same excitement. Go sign you 10 roofs and watch what that check looks like.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's so true, because it's like you got to find what it was that gave you that desire, that gave you that high. And the high of business, to me, the high of success is better than any other high that I've tried. I was never been a big thing user, but I've tried a lot of shit, and I like the high of winning. That's mine. Like,
That's all. That's hey, but once you start focusing on winning, the money comes. All I want to do is win. I want to win 24 hours a day. I want to compete. I want to win. I want to win at my bike races. I used to want to win at those go kart races. I used to win at the legend car races, BMX races. There's no better feeling than winning. And then once you learn how to win, the money's just the byproduct of winning.
yeah. And it's funny how fast, or I guess it's not funny, but it's crazy how fast you found success again. So let's put all that behind you. Go out now, and you've told me a couple different stories, like riding a bicycle to a boat dock to scrape shit off boat. Uh, like, tell me about the dirty fucking jobs that you did. How many jobs were you doing at one time? What's your days look like? This is important to me because everyone's fucking soft nowadays. Pisses me off. I see people complain that seem successful and maybe are in ruts of their lives, but they're not willing to put in the work and the grit to get to that. Like, I'm the type of person, if I knew I had a bill coming up this Friday and I lost my job at NCA or multiple of my businesses failed, I know I can get out on the streets and do whatever I can do legally to make money. And I'm working my ass off 24 hours a day to feed my family. So let's go through area of your life.
Yeah, so when I first went into the rehab, it was a working rehab where you went to work during the day and then went to a meeting at night and we had house meetings or whatever. So I started at a moving company. So I started off as a helper on a truck. I was just a helper, and I was like, I need to really make some money. What's the best way here to hustle it up? I'm trying to figure it out. They could tell I was a go getter, and they're like, hey, you can get on a 2-man team that does 3 apartment moves a day. If you do 3 apartment moves a day, then there's a chance you get 3 tips. You get 3 tips from 3 different families. So I started doing the apartment moves, man. And you're talking about grinding, bro.
Ooh.
Every one of them's on the
All
3rd
the
floor. It seems
stairs,
like
yeah.
that's why they're hiring you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stairs.
So I started moving like 3 apartments a day or 2 apartments a day. Doing all the little apartment moves. Hustling that up. I'd ride I had a Yamaha R6 because I had to get rid of all my cars because I had to, get down to the meat, right, and make this thing happen. So started doing 3 apartment moves. We were killing it, dude. Moving 3 families a day. They seen my value there. They seen how all the good reviews I was getting. So I ended up being so I ended up running my own truck there. So I started doing the bigger house moves. So I moved up to that, and then I started running a two truck team, like moving the 10,000 square foot houses, doing the bigger moves because my customer service was good and we were wrapping everything right, no damages, good reviews. I ran a 2 truck team for a while, doing all the $2-3 million moves. Did that for a while, and then she seen the value in me, the lady that owned the moving company, and then I came operations manager within my 5.5 months there. I became operations manager running logistics. So I would schedule all the moves for the next day. I sat in the office. I had 2 screens. I could see where all the trucks were at, and I would just when this truck got done, I'd give them another job. So I did that, and I did it, 7 days a week because we moved 7 days a week.
We talked about roofing shit in the
Um,
past. You were like, I'm not the ops guy. I'm the guy up front. Here you are running operations logistically for one of the toughest logistic companies there is. I'm fucking moving.
yeah, I was all the way from Mexico. Always in Mexico. They had a company in Mexico City. So we ran them all across the country. I did that. I ended up going to court. Like I said, I went to court and got 5 years. I was on bond. Served my time, came home, paroled out, like I said, with $43, got dropped back off there, got the clothes, the tennis shoes, and started running every day, and had to look for another job. So I worked at a truss plant, building the trusses, floor trusses, roof trusses, and so I did that. that, that I didn't like that. I did that,
Was it the
I
labor?
got
Was
to
it the
work enough that
grind?
good.
What was it about that you didn't like?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but there was no hustling, and it was just like you banging trusses down,
There's no
banging plates
competition.
on and
There's
building a
no
wall.
being better. It's like, okay, I could
There's
bang
never
shit.
being better. That wasn't gonna last. Yeah, there wasn't gonna last long for me. So I did that. Sometimes I had to walk to work. I had to figure out a way to work. Walk 8-9 miles to work. That wasn't a big deal to me because I had to do what I had to do. Worked there. I used to make 284 a week there after taxes. It was $200 it was $200 a week to live where I was at. So I lived off $84, for a week at a time, buying boxes of ramen noodles. I worked there, saved up enough money, got a basement apartment. Started renting a basement apartment for my sister for $500 a month. I was working over there. I did work at the trust plant a while, and then I got a. It was hard for me to get rides. My license was gone. It's hard for me to get rides, so I got a job washing boats about 10 miles from my house, and where I could make a little bit better money. So I used to ride a bicycle 10 miles. 10.1 miles there, 10.1 miles home every day. I was washing boats, getting paid pretty good money. My boss there, Greg, he's a great friend of mine now. He gave me a lot of opportunity there, so I could wash on the weekends too. So I was washing 7 days a week. I'd go around on paddleboard washing boats. Just doing. I was having to pay $900 a month child support, plus $340 every time I see my kid because I had to pay the guardian ad litem because they said I wasn't fit to be around my kid by myself. So $500 a month that, then $900 child support. This 10 years ago, and I'm making about $12 an hour. So you can do the math on that. How many hours I had to work to make all that happen? I never missed a child support payment or a guardian ad litem payment a day in my life. But I worked 7 days a week washing the boats, riding my bike to work. People were like, "Man, you're crazy." I was like, I mean, I didn't think it was a big deal.
Well, it's
You
because
gotta do what you gotta do.
I respect it, but and I feel the same way like you. Put me in that situation, I'm gonna do what it takes. But it's so everybody
Yeah, I mean,
knows.
I put myself in that situation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did it. I did it myself. I didn't. There wasn't nobody, and all I did was scroll. I wasn't trying to get no relationships or nothing like that. So I'd ride my bike 10 miles to work all day, washing the boats, ride 10 miles home, and then I'd strap my shoes on. I go run 5 miles.
There you go.
And I started doing Spartan races. Won a pretty big Spartan race. I was doing the sprints, the beast, and the whatever the other one was called. There's a 13 mile, 8 mile, and a 3 mile. I won one my whole age group out of like 1,500 people. So I was succeeding in that. Plus working, washing the boats, and that's all I did. My only socializing, I just scroll at home, because I lived in that little basement apartment.
Yep.
Got a job being a janitor and doing sea level stuff, mechanical work at a place that does a lot of lifts on trucks and car accessories. So I was working there, stocking the shelves, cleaning the bathrooms, sweeping the floors. It's 10,000 square foot building, or no, it's like 15,000 square foot. So I, cleaned all the bathrooms, swept the floors, mopped the floors, did the load and dock stuff, and then if we got behind, I'd put the racks on top of the ADT security vans, the drop downs off the sprinters.
Yep. Yep.
So I did that and like I said, until Justin came in there and they kept bringing these big trucks in there, and I knew him for like 20 years, from the streets and whatever, and he was a hustler back in the day, and I said, bro,
What
like
the fuck you
you
doing?
see where I'm at
Yeah.
now? Yeah, let me get in there. You know what I mean? So big break for me there. Big, all commission based. I know a lot of people. If I missed a child support payment, I would lose the rights to my child. I mean, they set me up to fail, but I wasn't gonna let them do that. So I had saved my money up. I just ate ramen noodles or whatever. I didn't.
You shouldn't
I
do
wasn't
stupid
like going out to
shit.
eat or
But
something.
you didn't make an excuse. I mean, again, like the reason why I go so deep into that is there's so many people out there making excuses and for everything. It's always an excuse. It's always a poor me. It's always bullshit. And most of those types of people didn't go through the shit you went through. Most of the people didn't do
Yeah, I
that.
mean, I was riding a bicycle at 39 years old, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Fuck.
homeless. Basically homeless. And just eating ramen noodles, and a lot of people think that's below them. It went below me though. I'm not worried. There's nothing below
Nothing's
me. I
below
don't
you.
care.
Nothing. People need to start learning that.
Yeah,
Nothing is below anybody. And you were somebody who's seen the highest of highs of success. So, okay, terrific. So, Justin, somebody you knew from your past, he's coming into another job that you're working, and you're seeing him, and you see that he's successful again, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? After he's successful, give me a shot. Is that kind of how that went? And then you started riffing.
yeah. I was like, hey, let me do it. Like, let's do it. Let me figure it out. And so I started off as a canvasser.
So now you're door
I
knocking.
started off
Oh,
a
door to
hundred.
door. Just door knocking.
Yeah, door knocking. So it's $100 a claim number and $200 a signed contract. Um,
That's a grind.
so shit. So I was like, well, here's my goal. So I was like, I'm gonna sign up 5 this week, and then when they all get approved, that's gonna be $1,000.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So I was like, I gotta sign 5 a week, and then when all of them go to approval, so that'll be $1,500 a week. And I remember calling my friend Sorry, dude. This
No, you're
dog's
good.
killing me. I remember calling my friend, and I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna get rich over here." so, so I started signing like 10 a week. So that was 1,000. Then all my roofs started getting approved. So I was gonna make 100 grand as a canvasser. Because when they got approved, they're 200. So I was like, I need to make 1,000 a week. Was my goal. My goal back then was to make $52,000 a year, so I could have a relationship with my son.
What year is this?
So, 15,
2015. There we go.
15 to going into 16.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So I was like, bro, I remember calling him. He was at the rehab. I was like, bro, you better get over here and start knocking these doors. I was like, you make 100 grand a year knocking doors. You're just going to knock a lot of them and sign a lot of roofs up. So I did 27 roofs like that. I bought a truck like that. So listen, I bought my truck because I want to look professional. So I bought a 2009 Toyota Tacoma in 17. It was like, I don't know what it was. They were always expensive. It was like 30 something $1,000. But I bought it on that pay grade. And I remember leaving there when I put the down payment down, I had like $260 to my name, you know what I mean? And I knew I had rent coming up. I knew I had child support coming up. I knew I had guardian ad litem coming up. I graduated from being a canvasser. I didn't like to climb back then. I'll climb whatever now. I'm scared of heights. I'm deadly scared of heights. So I started just going after the ranches, the ranch homes.
Yeah, one-story ranching, baby. Easy
Yeah, and I
walkers.
started splitting my deals, with people that were doing the higher ones, and kind of took off from there. And you know, we built about 15 roofs a week at True Tech, and every day 2 of them were mine. So started making that commission.
The competitiveness, right? Now it's like I got to be the best at what I do. You were the best at door knocking,
Yeah, because
but who
yeah,
likes door knocking? If you like door knocking, you're lying. Door knocking sucks. Right?
I look at me, dude.
Oh,
Look, I
oh
hate door
yeah.
knocking. I'm covered head
Well,
to
I got
toe,
all
and
those
I'm a bigger
cleats.
dude. I'm 200 pounds, 6'2". Yeah, it looks like I'm knocking on your door. I'm gonna kick it in when you open it, or try to take your stuff. I'm tattooed all on my neck and everything. Poor behavior, bud. Just cover all this poor behavior up. Poor behavior.
Yep, yep.
And so then I started. I didn't really. So most of mine, it was door knocking. I would go out and knock doors because I'm not gonna sit around. But most of mine came from social media. All mine came from Facebook. So
There you
I
go.
might sign 2 a week up from door knocking or 1 a week up from door knocking, but the other 10 came from social media, me posting.
There you go. So
Um,
you're getting into social
yeah,
media
so
now, like early on.
so that's where I found my little sweet spot. Um, I was working there. Justin had to do something different because, like I said, back then nobody knew about workers' comp, this and that. He had a rebrand and change, so I went a different way.
But that was his
And we
company.
started Perimeter.
That was Justin's company.
His company was True Tech. Yeah, I'd still be there today.
There you go.
I loved it. Yeah, I love True Tech, but like I said, we got in a little bit of miscommunication, workers' comp, caught up. Nobody knew about that.
Yeah.
He's one of the pioneers. We learned from him. We learned everything from Justin. What not to do and what to do. He was he's a pioneer in this
Yeah, we did
industry.
a lot the wrong
And
way back then. For sure.
yeah, I mean, it was what it was. Like I said, he was young too, and we didn't know about all the workers' comp
Yeah.
and all this. But anyways, so went left, started Perimeter Roofing. Todd and Lance, my business partners.
Were they with you at Check,
Same
or did you grab Todd and Lance?
No, Todd was Justin's partner at True Tech, and they split. I went that way because I was already in the field working, and Todd was in the field working, so that was just a better fit for me, for my family. I was in a tight situation. There couldn't be any lag of payment for me or anything like that. Lance was doing our installs back then. He ran the crews, so it just kind of made sense to just kind of bundle those three up. Left out of there, probably did $6 million the first year. Next year, $9 million.
Well, how'd that go the first
Um,
year? So getting sales reps. I mean, I've always said, like, if you want sales, get sales reps. Or did you say, no, I'm going to put this monkey on my back and go sell 6 million myself? What were those first steps? Like,
Yeah, I probably sold 2 million back then when it was 200, 215, 230 a square.
yeah.
230 a square for
So you
architectural,
put most of the
215.
monkey on your back, but did you turn around and hire people as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, started hiring guys and just started duplicating myself as many times as possible. I didn't want roofing sales guys. Started hiring green guys, and I just train them myself. I stayed in the field until July 1st of last year. So that was kind of about 9 years of climbing. Yeah, about 9 years of climbing and 8.5 years of climbing. Climbing today, later on today actually. Down here. But yeah, so I just kind of ran the sales team. I never cared about titles, CEOs. I was an owner. I owned 33% of the company. Never cared about it. Just duplicated myself many times as possible. Got up to about 67 guys right here, towards my exit. Um, Still climbing every day, training the guys. No secret sauce or nothing. Built this. The SOP was built off cells. In roofing, I think you build it from the cells back into the office, and just
Leaders build
revenue
leaders.
drives the company.
I was talking to somebody this past week that knows you pretty well, and they were asking me like, well, you know, what'd they say? They said a lot of people that they know in the roofing industry that are successful are not very impressive, right? So they're, and I'm probably putting it lightly, but they're like, we feel like we can do this. We feel like we can start a roofing company scale very quickly. I said, you know, the people that I've seen that are the most successful are people like the Raymond Littles that get people to follow them. It's the leaders that get people to follow them because, again, I feel like the most valuable asset of a roofing company, at least for the first 5 years, is their ability to recruit and train and duplicate that sales and that ability to sales. Production, you can find good production managers, you can find good people around production, you can find good crews. Operations, same thing, right? Those are a dime a dozen. To find that Raymond Little can attract people that not only want to come sell for you, but want to come fill it for you. And day in and day out, and that competitive mentality for the sales team, called the bulldozer of the team that opens up storms, that opens up areas. How do you do that? It that is special sauce.
Yeah, I mean, just the willingness to do it. There's no secret sauce there, right? You gotta go out there and run the canvassers and climb the roofs. I mean, it's a numbers game. I need every canvasser to hit 100 doors a day, and I'm gonna climb for them. And I'm gonna build it out. And everybody's got to win. I'm gonna pay everybody the proper way. 10, 50, 50, and some of the canvassers that we have now. I mean, they make 100 grand a year. Um, and I think when you're out in the field and you left your ego, a couple years ago, when you got tore, when you heard my story, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to be proud of. There's very for that the first half of the podcast, right? There's not.
There you
Let's don't be proud of any of
go.
that.
Yeah.
That's poor behavior. So leave the ego at home, lead from the front, and duplicate yourself, right? If you never sold, I sold 1 million, so I know what it's like to sell 1 million. I've sold 2 million. I know what it's like to sell 2 million. I've sold 3 million. I know what it's like to sell 3 million. My last year there, I sold a job out in Missouri that was $8 million, and I climbed 80 roofs. So I climbed 80 roofs in 4 days out in Missouri. Got them all approved, but two. We had to go back and we got those approved too. They're especially single that had to be sent off to ITEL. So I got all those done. So I know what it's like to sell 1, 2, 3, 4 million and 8 million. So, I mean, I want to duplicate myself. So if I have 50, 60 people, I know at every SVG you see over the years, $1 million producers, my guys usually hit it first. My guys right now, I got guys already at a 500,000 for the year. And this is just shingles. This isn't commercial and this is solo. This isn't teams. Our numbers aren't inflated. Anybody's welcome to look at our AccuLinks. My guys, they sell $2-3 million a year, and guess what? I've had guys that leave. I have had guys leave. I've had whole teams leave, and guess what? I create more, and they sell $2-3 million. It's not the same guys every year. I've had guys that leave and come back and are killers now again. But it's trusting the process. But like I said, if you only can sell $500,000 a year, you're probably not going to train too much more than that because
Do you?
people are a product of the leadership here. So when they see me sell two, I might have 20 guys that sell over $2 million a year
There you go.
because I'm training them. And if I didn't train them, I trained somebody that did train them.
I think that's a big part of it, man. And I tell people that all the time. It's like just because you're moving up into sales management or general management or ownership, that doesn't mean you can't. You're able to stop being who you were. these people get complacent and they move up and they think they're entitled and they have this pride, like, I don't have to go out in the field anymore. It's like, how else do you train? How else do you motivate the team? Every company that I've seen that's really successful has a leader that continues to lead from the front and not the fucking office. I think all the time I'll see these guys that sold 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. And yeah, maybe they hated doing it. So now that they feel like they're a manager or an owner that they don't have to do it anymore, like, oh, it doesn't
Yeah,
work
and
that
you know where those companies
way.
go?
Yeah, straight
They
down.
go straight in the
I
dirt.
remember
Yeah.
when my wife and I first started dating, she used to give me shit. She was like, why do you work so hard? You're the owner. You don't have to do that. I was, what the fuck do you know how to do about business? It's the owner. Like, I got to do all of that. Like, if I don't, they won't. What do you mean? If you don't go out and sell, if you don't go out and work, they won't fire them. I was like, no, no. Everything is all wrong. And not picking on my wife, but that's how the general population believes. They think owners don't have to do anything. They think that owners don't have to. And like, no, that's why most owners fail. That's why most businesses don't hit hyper growth. And maybe there's a way to hit that complacent $1 million a year every year and just do nothing and succeed and not have that growth and not have those loyalty of those guys. But who the hell wants that? I want, I
Yeah.
want growth.
You're gonna work till the day you die running 5 million. You need to run it up. You need to be 20 million a year. And like I tell the guys, yeah, you might have been a good sales rep here, but that doesn't mean you're a business owner.
No,
Being a sales rep and being a business owner is two different things. I always tell everybody if you can sell $2-3 million a year, and you're going to leave me and go try it, cool. But you better stay in the field and hire those people in the office to do that data entry. You go to the office, your company's going to die.
there's many people that I had with me and my businesses that wanted to go off on their own, and I would have tough conversations and tell them like, look, it's not that easy, and you're going to make more selling for me than you would on your own. Now, there's people I did believe in that I would finance other business, but those people were even fewer and far between because uh, if you're not successful at a salesman level and not running your business that way, there's very few traits that do translate other than just being able to go out there and sell and get yourself. So, man, that extreme success and it put 6 to 7 years when we were first talking. How long exactly did it take from the day you opened the doors to the date that you sold? What exactly was that?
7 years. I'm pretty sure it was 7 years when we got our PE deal.
7 years. There you go. 7
Uh,
years. So it's safe to say you spent more
yeah.
time in prison than you did building your roofing company.
Yeah, yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah. 12 years in prison altogether, and on three different vacations. Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, yeah, I could have did it 100 times over, and like I said, and I even told private equity when they were talking about my past because that was that was a big thing
Yeah.
when they were buying it, and I said, I said you had bought that business too if you seen it on paper because it
Ah,
was ran very well. It was very profitable.
very profitable.
I said it's so profitable that they gave me racketeering at the age of
Yep.
26. But yeah, man, it's and I tell people that. I mean, people they want the titles. They want I'm an owner. This and that. You could ask any of my guys, and there's a lot of them. You could ask any of them. You can call them or Facebook message them or whatever. When we walk up to a house, I'm carrying the ladder, and they got the iPad in their hand, and I say, "Hey, go over. You go and talk to the homeowner. I'm gonna climb the roof. I'll text you if we're good or if there's enough or not. And don't never tell them I'm the owner. Don't never tell them I'm the owner. I'm your climber.
Yep.
And I always just tell everybody I'm their climber. I'm their climber. And I did that for 7 years. If you had to pull the owner card out here and there because I had to give away something because we done tore something up or something, I would, pull that card there. But just day to day sales, I don't, I just say, hey, he's my manager. I don't care because my pay's the same on Friday. I don't care about the titles. I
Yeah.
know what I get paid every Friday, and I know what I have in my bank account. So I don't care what people thought about me. I still don't care. I mean, I wear, just regular. I don't have nothing with name brands or nothing on it. I don't care.
Yeah.
There's no
Maybe they
nothing.
catch you in your
It
car.
doesn't matter to me. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I have nice cars. Yeah, I have real nice cars. But like I said, if you see me just walking down the street, you're probably gonna get off the curb because you're probably gonna think I'm a bum or something. Uh, But I think, stripping the ego out of, stripping the ego out of it and everything. I went and bought, I bought an I-8 and a Porsche and Cougar Paws.
There you go. And then,
With
then
chalk
the
all over
cougar
me.
paws are the cougar paws are more valuable than the car. I tell you that right now.
That's it. I have chalk all over me on the phone the whole time, and buy a turbo Porsche, 4S, or buy I-8 or whatever. I post the videos all the time. But I like cars, but the ego, you strip yourself from ego, go out there and work hard, and there's no magic to it. It's sales. It's a numbers game. Everybody needs to hit 100 doors a day, and there's certain things that you need to hit, and
So what's
but it's just go to work. A lot of people get where they don't want to go to work, bro.
now? What's next? I mean, look, if you sold, you could retire if you wanted to. I mean, you could
Yeah.
sit down and never work another day in your life. I don't think that like there's anything in you that would allow that. But you could do that if you wanted to. So
Yeah, I did it for a while. I mean, I still get paid from PE now. That's about to stop. I'm allowed to. I'm the one that's negotiated my my non compete a couple different times because I live in Florida. I can do whatever I want really in Florida, and then I got the training program with with the SVG. I will retire eventually when the plane lands and we go public. Uh, but I like to win too much, and I don't like other men to control my destiny. So until the plane lands, I'm going to control my own destiny to the best of my ability. I like to, I owned a men's recovery center in 2018 and 19 and ended up selling it. It was too busy. Roofing was booming. We were doing 20, 30 million. I had a 10 unit apartment building with a men's recovery center in it because I like to give what I got, right? And show the young men, older men too, and women, a trade so they can get out of that rut, that poor lifestyle, that poor behavior, that low value lifestyle. That became a passion of mine. I tell people all the time, and some people believe me, some don't. I haven't looked at my bank account in years and years and years and years because I got so focused on watching my guys buy that first $100,000 truck, watching their relationships get better, watching them buy a house, watching them buy their first investment property. I got a couple of my sales reps that are millionaires that been with me just 4 or 5 years, and they have $1 million in a money market. They own their own house. They have a couple rental houses. They have a side business. I got so focused on developing these young men and women that I just didn't even think about roofing anymore. It was just like what we did to change people's lives. And when I sold to PE, and then like I said, I got kind of sent home because it's their baby now. The That's what I miss, not roofing. I miss developing those young men and women, and not so young men and women. Teach them a trade where they could have the feeling that I have today, right? So I fell in love with that so much. That's when the company went from like 20 million, to 50 million. Is when I fell in love with just changing people's lives. I didn't worry about the profits. I worried about my people, and that was when people like they can't get past 10 million, and I blew 10 million out the door. I forgot how many years ago I did 10 million. But I stayed in the 20s and 30s, hit the 40s, hit the 50s. But that jump was from that 20 million to that 35 or 38 or whatever. It was, I got so engulfed in changing people's lives that I would put on Facebook, hey, I can take 2 people right now. I can take 3. I only can take 1 right now because I want to focus in on them so hardcore that I'd spend 90 days with those people, and then they would become $1 million producers in 9 months.
yeah. Wow.
Um,
Wow.
so it was like a factory. My truck was like a factory of
A
winning,
factory of
and
winning. Yeah, I
and
love
I
it. Well,
yeah, I got lost in that way.
no,
You
that's
know what I
something to
mean?
get
And
lost with and obsessed with is other people. And do you think that's going to translate to the next steps? I mean, I know you say even when the plane lands and that's when you're going to retire, but I personally wouldn't bet on that because I know you well enough. I would bet on you continue to do what you're doing. I mean, you went to go buy a piece of property the other day and you ended up the owner of a auto shop, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're the guy who started moving furniture and then started running a furniture business. Yeah, I know it wasn't yours, but you started running it. So you see problems in businesses and you know you have solutions and you know that you can grow them. That's again, that's a high that you can't let go of. I know I could. I know I could never. I would translate into building more businesses. Uh, is there any businesses that you're like, man, I really want to get into? Or do you think you're going to stumble into other businesses, or are you truly going to cut yourself off for businesses?
I don't know. I mean, so my son starts. So my whole plan was, and you'll see it on my Facebook, my memories and everything. I plan to put my head down now. We're talking about some of some of the poor behavior. We're talking about some of the success or whatever. But the thing I didn't talk about is not being I was my wife. I have a beautiful successful wife. Obviously she doesn't work since she's been with me. But she did very well in her in her own accord, and came in our relationship with seven figures. My son, he doesn't live with me, but I get him every other weekend and every other holiday, plus every other week in the summer. And I did push them to the side, full transparency. I always FaceTime them from another state, or same thing like you said. I live what your dad named Daryl, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I talked to him on the phone. Yeah, I talked to him on the phone, quite a few times. I did live that lifestyle where I was on the road, this state, this storm, that storm. I don't know if there's any other businesses. It's gonna be interesting to see what my son does, and I think when I get the second one, maybe build something with him one day.
There you go.
Not in this industry, but build something with him one day. Some type of something that'd be cool to kind of mentor him on and watch him get his head tore off in business, lose money, and
Well, I mean,
that would probably be my ultimate goal as he gets to be 18, 19, because I just don't think college. He's probably gonna go to the military. That's what he wants to do. He knows school's not for him. He's dyslexic like me. So, probably build something with him in the next, when he's 18, 19, just a little hobby business. I own a bunch of businesses now. I got, like you said, the automotive business, partners in wheel and tire store, have an automotive business, have a software company now. I'm the founder of the door knocking program, at Perimeter, which is another business that they use. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like I just live a freestyle life with no, who knows? I don't know.
yeah,
Kind of
and I
what I
know you're
might
doing
end
a
up
lot of
in.
coaching. We talk a lot about the Storm Ventures group coaching, and I love it when people are like, they say those who can't coach, right? And it's like, oh, not Raymond Little.
Yeah,
That don't apply to him. He can't. But technically, you can't because of the non-compete. Kind of rings true, right? Right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. In the states, that we can't compete against my own platform, which I would never want to, right? Because that's my guys I developed, and I don't want to compete against them. Yeah, no, the coaching school. I'm down here now, running a set with a company to knock the dust off. We've been out there 2.5 days because I got here a little bit later. And we already signed 7 roofs, climbed 12. I'm flying with my canvasser and make it happen. Bringing a lot of value there, training 3 guys. Having fun. And making some money. And the biggest thing for me is watching these guys' eyes light up when they don't realize that they could have got some of these roofs approved with so little damage on it.
yeah,
Watching my canvasser, do very well and make money and just seeing the watching the guys like I like watching when they get it right. It clicks
yeah,
with
it
them. It
clicks.
clicks with
Yep.
them. And they're like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna kill it, dude. I can't wait. This and that. So that's the joy for me and developing. I enjoy developing. It's not about roofing too much for me. It's developing the talent and duplicating myself as many times as possible.
I mean, I can't wait to watch you where you go from here. I think we're gonna have to do this again in 3 to 7 years when you've sold 10 more companies, got even more success and everything else. Now, I've got this other segment that I told you about briefly. So on my previous podcast, I used to do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Uh, I realized that can't be legal. I can't. I probably can't take Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I mean, we did everything. Like I had my editors do the show. So edited the
Yeah,
video. Cool. It was like the pressure sound and the. So I'm like,
yeah,
we're not doing that anymore. Just the exact name. It's either Who Wants to Be the Smartest or Who's the Smartest Millionaire. That's what I'm thinking, or who's the smartest entrepreneur? Because you don't have to be a millionaire to be on the show. You just have to be successful.
yeah.
Uh, so it's very similar. Did you ever watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I've never seen that.
Never seen it. So
Yeah, I don't think
it
so.
was it was out in the 90s, I think is when it started. 90s and
Yeah, I missed a lot of the 90s and 2000s.
It's a lot of those.
I was reading a lot of books. I actually, I taught myself to read in prison. You
I
know what
feel
I
like
mean? I
daytime
didn't, I couldn't, I
television,
couldn't read
though.
until I was 20.
They may have been on daytime television in prison. I don't know. I don't know. But maybe
Yeah.
you weren't that fancy and didn't get one of the TVs. So anyway, it's a game show with multiple choice questions. So you get A, B, C, or D, right? You get to pick a question. Yeah,
Yeah.
I only have 5 questions, right? So they're 5 questions, but they're derived from things about your life, right? So you should be able to answer them, right? I didn't make the questions. ChatGPT wrote them. So
Oh yeah, I probably failed this horribly.
yeah. Nick Brett did awful. I think he got 2 out of 5 correct, but you do get a lifeline,
Yeah.
right? So on any one of the 5 questions, you can use one of 2 different lifelines. You could knock away 2 of the questions. So we call that a 50-50. So if there's 4 questions, you can knock it down to 2, and one of those questions are now going to be the right answer. So that's one lifeline. And the other lifeline that you could use is phone a friend. So call somebody, put them on speakerphone
Oh
if you
wow.
think they know the answer to the question, right? So
Oh
you can only
wow.
use
This
one
is interesting.
lifeline on one of the questions. So it's not 2
Okay.
lifelines, and you can choose between the 50-50 or the phone friend. Get started. Here is who is the smartest entrepreneur? So when scaling a business, what is typically the biggest challenge in maintaining hyper growth? Is that A, marketing and lead generation, B, managing cash flow and operational efficiency, C, finding a good office location, or D, setting up a good website?
When scaling or
It's scaling your
growing a
business. What's
business.
the biggest challenge in getting that hyper growth? Marketing, lead gen, cash flow, operational efficiency, finding a good office location, or setting up a website.
Operations.
So you're thinking the managing cash
Efficiency.
flow and operational efficiency. That's what you're thinking.
I think operational efficiency
Is that
is biggest in scaling.
is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
All right, you got it right. There we go. 1 for 1.
Well, I did it.
1 for 1. B, managing cash
I
flow.
learned that. Hey, I learned that 6 figures at a time from making mistakes.
And that's true. I mean, the most businesses in our business, and probably any business, fail because of poor management of cash flow. And then when you throw in operational efficiency, that seems like a no-brainer. I know there's a lot of marketers out there who wanted us to say setting up a website, but fuck that. That comes last.
That's it.
All right. 1 for 1, man. Here's the second one. Private equity firm look for certain key factors when acquiring a company. Most of the following is typically the most, or which of the following is typically the most important? So the most important key factor when acquiring a company from private equity. Is it A, a well-designed company logo? B, strong financials with predictable recurring revenue? Or C, a large social media following? Or D, in your case, the owner's personal brand? What is most important?
I'm gonna say B.
You're gonna say B, the strong financials and predictable recurring revenue. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Man, you're making some easy questions. This is I couldn't guess this
No,
one.
you got to think. I did 4 acquisitions.
No, you're right. Strong financials and predictable recurring revenue. Okay. That's
Yep.
of course, right?
EBITDA.
If you're gonna buy something,
That's all they want to know is that EBITDA.
gotta make money.
Yep.
Okay, maybe these start getting
Got to make
harder.
money,
I don't
brother.
know. We'll see here. So you got to try to use one of the lifelines even if you don't need it. What is the most critical metric for measuring a roofing company's success in door-to-door sales? Is it the number of flyers distributed? Is it the closing rate per door knock? Is it how many doors were knocked per hour? Or is it social media engagement?
It's B.
I think the closing rate per door knock, that's your most important metric. Is that your final answer? Man, 3 for 3. All right, let's go.
I do it, bro.
There it is. Nick is going to be mad when he watches this. His questions were so hard. I think I was like, where the fuck did this question come from? All right. So here we go. Number 4. Okay, this is a pretty cool one. I don't know if you'll know this or not. So, in endurance sports like mountain bike racing, what is the primary energy system the body relies on for sustained effort? Is it the phosphagen system, glycolytic glycolytic system, the aerobic system, the lactic acid system?
Glatco.
It's the glyco system. You want to phone a friend? You want to do 50-50 or
I ain't got nobody to call him that. I'm about the only one that does it.
it's
Oh, good.
finally
Which one was it?
it's the aerobic aerobic. I guess.
Oh, anaerobic. Yeah, anaerobic.
Oh,
Yep.
there you go.
Yep. Yep.
There you go. Most important.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's it.
So you're 3 out of 4 so far. We're on the last question. Okay, what is the most effective way to structure leadership in a fast-growing company? Is that A, the owner should manage every department to ensure quality control? B, develop leaders within the company and delegate responsibility? Or C, hire more employees but keep decision-making centralized? D, rely entirely on automation and remove human management?
B.
B, develop leaders within the company and delegate responsibility. Is that your final answer?
That's my final
There
answer,
you
brother.
go. 4 out of 5. That's going to be a tough one to beat, brother. There you go. Great job, man.
You know, I live it and I do it. You know what I mean? And for so many years, I didn't have a lifeline. It was, people looked at me and I had to kind of figure it out. And then I did a lot of apologizing over those years to my business partners because when I let them down and I cost us 60 grand because we went to Louisiana and tarped and I didn't realize the deductibles were higher than the roofs. Hey, a lot of apologizing, or I relied on one person I said I think would do the job, and they didn't do the job, and I would apologize, to Todd and Lance. I said, and it's crazy that we had this podcast, and we kind of, you've hit on some good stuff, man. One of the best podcasts I've ever did is, I was talking to Todd and Lance last week, and I realized that I apologized to both of them, and man, I was so hard on my business partners over the last 8 years. And I said, "Hey, man, I know I hurt y'all's feelings. I know that I made y'all feel bad at certain times, and I ran it like a dictatorship. And I was very hard, very cutthroat, very, very hard. And they said, man, I appreciate, you don't owe us an apology because we made a lot of money together, but I appreciate that. I required them to work at this level all the time with no excuses, no anything." And it made our relationship. I mean, we're always, we fought and argued and all kind of crazy stuff's happened over the years, but we still have an open line of communication. And but I felt like I needed to do that because my life has been super highs, like you said, and super lows, super highs, super lows. But I was able to roll the dice and tell my family, hey, I'm gonna get with you when I'm 13. I'm gonna tell my wife, hey, when I'm 50, I'm gonna slow it down. Or if I ever have a year that doesn't go like a rocket ship and actually plateaus, I'll find my balance. And now that I look back, I'm glad I don't think the way I do now because what if I didn't make it happen when he was 13? What if I didn't? What if I didn't find financial freedom? I mean, I did super well. Like people think, what I have in the bank, I can retire, right? But I'm not wired that way. If I'm not working or climbing, I feel like I'm gonna lose everything I got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm finally getting, to be honest with you, I'm probably the best version of myself as a leader, as a business owner, as everything. On everything I learned as I exited the company made me, I'm the best version of Raymond is sitting at home right now
That's awesome, man.
from everything I learned.
That's awesome to know, and that's awesome to see. Yeah, I'm proud to know you, Raymond. I don't know your partners as well as I know you, and I don't talk to them as much, but I don't ever want to take anything away from their part in your success. That's for sure. So, because like you said, probably being your partner just in general may be challenging, but
It was super challenging, super challenging, because I'm like, them kids, screw them kids. You'll see them later. Your wife's complaining, get rid of her, let's go. And that was my mentality, let's do it. It'll be fine. There's time for that later on. And thank God, right? Because you might do all that and it might not work out, right? But in our case, it did. We were able to put
Yeah.
stuff on hold. We didn't go to the base.
You know,
We missed little Johnny's. You couldn't be assistant coach for little Johnny's baseball
yeah.
team if you work with me,
No.
because I'm gonna tear you down. You know what I mean? There's no time for it, and
So,
it's just a different way of doing business.
man, there was, I think it was 2012, a storm hit Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it was a September storm. So like a late one, right? August, September. So it was late in the year. There wasn't much time. So we get to the office, we got 20, 30 guys that went there with us. And one of our top guys got there and, it was that first weekend. So we all got there Tuesday. Storm hit like a Monday. It's a Tuesday and Friday's coming up. And one of our top guys is like, my son's first birthday is on Saturday. We go party on Sunday. And my father, Daryl, throws a fit. Oh, we can't fucking do that. No, no, no. He's 1 year old. He ain't going to remember. Reschedule that damn thing till this winter. Nope. Birthday party is going to go on in the winter. Kid will not remember his birthday. Under no
Yeah.
circumstance will you leave the first weekend of a fresh fucking storm.
That's why we get along so good. Hey, because look, my old training programs, your kid's not gonna remember nothing before 6 years old. That's part of the Raymond Little training.
It's true, man. It's savage,
Oh
but
man,
it's fucking true.
we're bad people, man. We're bad
Hey.
people. We built some good things, but we might be bad people when it came to that. Yeah, that's not my highlight reel, but that is what I told people. Hey, 2 years old, he's not gonna remember that dang birthday party. Let's go knock doors.
Yeah. I remember that
So,
vividly. But man, it's been a pleasure having you
yeah.
on the show. I really appreciate it. I can't wait till this one airs. It's probably gonna be a week or two, but thanks y'all. So
Yeah. Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me, dude. And I can't wait to, do some more stuff.